I always had aspirations of doing something great. I never told anyone, hey, I want to be in the UFC, I want to be a world champion. The only thing I ever said is I want to be a great coach someday. So hopefully I'm on that path. I like to think that I was that guy that was, I'll fight anybody, anytime. I fought guys that I shouldn't have fought, that I wasn't ready for. But I come from an era where you kind of fought, you had to fight whoever it was. Now guys are a little too picky, choosy. I want to just continue to embed myself into this fight game, not only as a coach and as a gym owner, but on the business side. I mean, we've obviously had conversations, and bringing on beautiful brands like Protégé. Hopefully we can help on the management side. We can help a few guys get to the big show. One thing they don't tell you when you want to open up a gym or become a coach is that you become almost a dad, and it's just like, fuck, how did I inherit 10 grown-ass kids? Like, what the fuck?
Marcos, my brother, how are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good. It's really good to sit down with you.
Good to be here.
You're doing something special over there at Matador, bro. I mean, I think it's really cool to see you just apply everything you've learned over the years.
Yeah.
And now you're just really applying it to that younger generation.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, trying to build a culture at the gym, and just kind of like pass on my knowledge to these guys, and giving them the do's and don'ts of the game. I mean, I did a lot of don'ts.
Haven't we all, bro?
So I'm like, learn from me, man. Learn from me.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because we had another guest on the podcast, our champ Gianni Vasquez.
Mm-hmm. My doppelganger.
Dude, yeah,
you guys kind of do look alike.
Bro, you guys kind of do it. That guy is such a class act. And he says, look, man, I just surround myself with great people who have already been through it, so I don't have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
So it's really, really the model.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about you starting your own gym. You guys opened in 2025, right? Or
24. We're gonna hit the 1 year mark. So April.
It's been less than a year, but guess what? In 1 year of opening the gym, they already had to move to a bigger location.
Yeah,
because business was doing so good.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. I mean, has the gym been going like rapidly? What's going on?
It's been going great. I think it's a little. I knew what it was capable of doing in such a short amount of time, but it was really just kind of selling everyone else on it.
Yeah.
I have a great business partner, and he believed in what I was starting to build, and wanted to be a part of it. And, he sees it now. I mean, in less than a year, we've grown to, almost 150 members.
Sheesh. Congrats.
3 champions have come through the doors, that I've been a part of, like, their camps. Like, obviously we have Ellie, who's collected 3 belts at UNF, under the Matador banner. And then obviously our boy London, David Rojas helped him out for his camp, for his title fight. So yeah, in a short time, I feel like we've been making some noise.
Yeah. What do you think the secret sauce is? And I'm going to tell you what I think it is. Not that you guys give a shit what I think, but
not at all. Actually,
no, I really think it's because you're definitely a relatable dude. Yeah. You've been there, you've done that. And I think you're genuinely invested in these guys. But why do you think you've been able to draw 150 members? Because I think, having hardcore members, that's great, but you're also running a fight team, which I think is super challenging.
I think it's what you said. I mean, it's really just, just being genuine. I try to keep it real with everyone, and I tell everybody that I've always applied you don't have to be a fighter to train like one.
Yeah.
So it's about inclusion. We have like the guys that come in that are just learning the sport, that are maybe fans of the sport, or, they just want to get in shape. You throw them in the mix, with one of the fighters, they feel like they're, oh shit, like, we're one of the guys. Now they get to go to the office and tell their friends, hey, I train with this fighter, come to his fight with me. Super cool guy, So it's just being all inclusive, so to speak. Giving people a place where they can basically just feel like it's a second home. It's just creating a community. And I think we're doing that.
Yeah, I think you guys are definitely, you have a strong community there. I mean, we went down a couple times to do some gym profiles and everything, and you guys are definitely getting great work in, hard work. But everyone's also, you can tell everyone's homies, everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
It's also, it's a good time at the same time. And I think who doesn't want to be a part of something like that?
Yeah, I think it's cool, and I get it. Like I'm kind of like the new kid on the block on the coaching side, and like having having the gym. But it's also just like, hey, I'm one of you guys. Like I'm not. You see it a lot in this sport, and like I've learned it, and just in the short time that I have had the gym and been a coach, there's no sense of worship me, I'm the coach type of vibe. Like, and I see that with some places.
Yeah.
Like, like the coaches try to outshine the fighters. Like, like you see, like I'll be at the fights. I'm probably the last guy walking out because my time to shine has come and gone. It's about the guy in front of me now, and it's about the focus on them.
Yeah. And again, we don't have to say names or anything like that, but when you started the gym, did you have any other gym haters or people that hated on you? Because I can imagine you maybe did, because I think you're one of those guys that you're a little bit of I don't want to call you a threat, but you're a player in the game. You're very well known on the regional scene. Yeah. I think you're a charismatic guy and you draw people to you. So I could imagine.
He's a really big fan of yours, by the way, just to let you know.
I'm a big fan of you guys, man.
And I keep telling I'm a fan of a lot of the guys, a majority of the guys that fight at UNF. I'm a fan of the coaches that we get to work with. And especially this podcast, the cool thing about it is we get to kind of pick and choose who we have on. We want people that have great stories or people we admire and respect, kind of to share their message. But did anybody give you a hard time when you started up, or was everybody pretty did they embrace you, bro?
Yeah, I mean, obviously no names or anything, but I think for anyone that follows me or, is friends of mine, I mean, I think we saw a little bit of it, and it's kind of public, and I was just kind of like, man, this hate is crazy, but for me, it's out of sight, out of mind. Like those people I just block out.
Yeah.
And, I have bigger things to worry about. And you feel it a little bit, like you go to a show and maybe the veteran coach kind of looks at you weird. People tend to start acting a little different around you, people that you're cool with. And it's just human nature. I don't take it personally. I get it. Like who's this new guy? Who the fuck does he think he is? Yeah. So I don't take it personally. And I mean, it's just human nature.
It's actually a compliment.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if you weren't making a mark, if you weren't a threat, people wouldn't even give a shit about you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the old saying, right? It's, if you've got haters, you're doing something right.
Ryan has a lot of haters.
Oh, no,
I don't know that he's doing anything right, though.
I thought he used to have no haters.
No, wow. No. For sure, Ryan has. UNF has a lot of haters. I think we know that.
Bro, listen, if I don't address it, but dude,
I think you should address it.
The cool thing is
say some names though.
I'm pretty approachable, dude. So people tell me behind the scenes, and people have shared text messages they've received from promoters who were talking shit about us and stuff like that. And my first instinct, honestly, is to fuck them. I'm going to say something. I'm going to respond. And then I just chill back and who really cares? These people don't deserve my time or my energy.
100%.
And I want to let the results of what UNF does speak for themselves. Yeah. And all that does for me, and I know if it does to you, it feeds me, Marcos. It feeds me. I'm like, oh, you're going to talk shit? We can't make it, or we're only going to be here for a year? Fuck you. Well, we're now 2.5 years, and we're going stronger than ever.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, that's just, it's something that, you're doing something right. And those that can't will always have an opinion.
But couldn't they do it, Marcos, if they really wanted to and they invested? Because I really don't think, I think UNF is doing good things, but I think anybody could do it if they have the drive and the desire.
Yeah. I think, the biggest thing is, and I tell people this all the time, and I tell my family, my close friends, when some people bring it to my attention, hey, maybe this person that you thought was your friend really doesn't fuck with you now that you're a coach or you have fighters. They see you as a threat. I don't know. I just I don't want to say I brush it off, but it's just something that's all right, well, it's like you said, it's a compliment. It's kind of a compliment. And if whatever I'm doing has made you feel some type of way, then that's a personal problem. I'm going to just keep doing what I do. Let it fuel me, It's obviously, I mean, I don't think I have it figured all out, but if it's causing you to talk about me, then shit, by all means.
I'm on the right track.
Really, I mean, not to toot your horn, but really, if you think about it, 1.5 years, right?
Yeah.
Look how strong your business is going.
Yeah.
It takes time to really turn that corner, but with that many members that quickly, you're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, you got, sorry to cut you off, but you got 2 champs in the best organization in California. 100%. That was just for our haters. Whoever hates on us, I wanted to say that in there.
Yeah, well, one thing I love about working with you, we've had some bumpy roads, honestly.
Yeah.
We've made some bad moves on our side and, just poor communication and, all that. And one thing, I'll blame Ryan for all those things, by the way. No, but one thing I really appreciate about you is you've been there, you've done that, you understand the fight game and how tough it really is, because I come from the professional world, right? So I've tried to run UNF the same way. And I realized that the fight game is a really tough game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's, I feel like I've just been around the block a few times already, and I've been in this game for a long time. So, like I said earlier, I don't really take anything personal. Like, I understand shit happens. It's business, and this is a business. Like, the fight business is a business like any other business, and things will happen, and, it's, if you were working in an office, you would probably have some miscommunication at some point. Yeah. And it is what it is. You just gotta, it's how you react to things.
Exactly.
Too,
That's why I love working with Marcos. I mean, like, listen, no one's gonna be perfect, right? Yeah. Things are going to happen, but at least every time we've had, whatever it may be, miscommunication, or it could be the smallest thing. One thing I get from talking to you is that you're open-minded and you do try to kind of see, the landscape of things and what's going on. Not that you're saying, oh, it's okay, do whatever you want, but when we do talk, I feel like, we come to this like kind of agreement.
There's
we just understand. Yeah. We understand what's going on,
which makes it very, special to work with you.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're in this game, you are a business. Whether you're a fighter, a coach, gym owner, promoter, you are a business, and you have to conduct yourself in that way. I mean, I can't, how would that look if I called you one day and I'm like, man, fuck you and this and that. Like,
some people have done it.
You know what? You're probably not going to want to work with me.
Yeah.
And that's me affecting my business. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it happens. It is what it is, but to me, like, UNF has been a home. It's a brand and something that I wholeheartedly believe in. And I think you guys kind of get that from me. I like being a part of things from the beginning. And I've literally been a part of UNF from UNF 1.
You were on UNF 1.
UNF 1.
Submission of the night at UNF 1, right?
Yeah. No, and I mean, what's really cool is, we've got some plans. We just haven't been able to put it together, right? I mean, as you build, you can only build so quickly. But, we've all talked as a team wanting you to do some commentary in Spanish and be that sort of face. I mean, that's something we're working towards this year. Hopefully we'll get our shit together where we can make that move.
Yeah. The stars will align.
Yeah,
it'll happen. Yeah.
So talking about the stars align, talk to us about some of those guys over at your gym, the interesting folks, Christopher London.
Yeah.
All the interesting ones.
Oh man, they're all interesting in their own way, aren't they? I mean, you have obviously Christopher London's the latest champ to come out of Matador. He splits his time between here, LA, and Vegas. He's over at Syndicate as well. I can't take full credit for that, but
for sure,
it's a good working relationship. He's getting the work that he needs while he's out there, and he's working. So, Chris, looking for his pro debut soon.
What's it like though, like coaching a reality TV show star that was on?
What was it? MILF Manor.
MILF Manor.
Yeah,
man, that.
I tried watching an episode. I couldn't get through it because it was honestly.
I literally told him, I was like, the same thing, man. I watched one episode and I was like, I can't watch that shit, dude. I was like,
was it Chris like dating MILFs? Is that?
Yeah.
I think that's a concept. There's like a bunch of MILFs and a bunch of younger people, and that's pretty much what I got to.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, I mean, he'll tell you too. Like, it's a bit cringe, You're just kind of like, oh man, like, out of respect for you, bro, I'm not gonna watch this show anymore. Like, I just can't, because I'm developing an opinion about you, and I don't. But yeah, no, he's that shit doesn't matter. You walk through the door, you're just like everyone else, and
100%.
and everyone at the gym treats him that way, and we all like shoot the shit with him. He gets clowned on too, just like everybody does, and it's just that we have that camaraderie. We have. It's a brotherhood, and Chris was a part of the beginning of like the Matador fight team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My first guys were officially, once I retired and I'm like, okay, we're gonna start a fight team. It was Winland, London, and my boy Gio. They were like the first official.
Because I remember you guys posting stuff on Instagram, and it was like very small room, and just usually those three guys, and slowly you just see another body another body come in, another body come in.
Yeah.
And then we already talked about, but to see it now, 150 members.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind blowing in like almost less than a year,
Yeah,
bro.
and,
Like,
and,
it's
and not
nuts.
to say, not to discredit the guys that came before them. Like I did work with a handful of guys while I was still actively fighting.
Yeah,
These guys went out there and represented Matador before there even really was a Matador fight team.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. They know who they are. But yeah, Chris has been there from the beginning. So it's really cool to see him take that next step towards his pro career.
I'm all about evolution, right? And I think, Chris, fought once for the title against Anthony DeSimone, didn't have a great performance. He didn't seem all there, right, for that performance.
100%.
But seeing Chris come back for this last fight, it was a whole different Christopher London.
Yeah.
Whole different, both physically, mentally, like you could just tell you were dealing with a different animal.
Oh yeah, it was just the power of being locked in. Everyone has their battles, and everyone has their own demons that you have to go up against. And thankfully, Chris came out on the other side, and now you see, it's kind of like a star in the making. And I think when he fought Dohan, I think everyone kind of thought it was just going to be a walkthrough, a repeat of DeSimone.
Take him down, and
Yeah. And man, I think that was arguably the fight of the night. Both guys went out there and gave it all, and it's probably one of the best amateur fights I've seen. They were trying to kill each other, which was awesome entertainment value. And then when he came out for his title fight, man, he was just so cool, calm, collected. It was flawless. It was a flawless performance.
Well, his performance against Carson was great. Did you get a chance? Carson didn't agree with the decision, obviously. Did you get a chance to? Did you? Yeah, Carson makes that well known on social media.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love Carson. Though.
I love Carson too, and he's the funniest dude on social media. And the reason I was going to ask is, did you get to see the poem that he wrote?
Oh my God, I had a conversation with Carson after too. We talked. Like, he's a good kid, and I get it. It's you put a lot of work, and when it goes to the judges, and if it doesn't go your way, you feel some type of way. And like I told him, I said, look, man, my last fight, you think I wanted to lose my last fight? I went back and watched the fight, and I was like, what the fuck were these guys watching? It's a lot closer than they made it seem.
Yeah.
I thought I edged out a couple, but it is what it is. That's why they tell you don't leave it to the judges.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with the decision at the end of the day, after I rewatched my last fight, but what can you do? I can sit there and bitch about it and complain and make videos talking shit about the judges.
Would you do a poem like Carson did ever?
I'm not as artistic as
I
Carson.
could never pull out a poem.
You can't top that, man. That was fucking gold.
No, really, Carson is
Kudos to
money
Carson,
on
man.
social media. He really is.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he also has that it factor. If he bounces back from this and just keeps doing what he's doing as far as training, he can go far. He's got it, and I've told him that before, even before he ever fought Chris.
Yeah.
That's one of the guys I'd have conversations with outside, and just tell him like, hey man, like you got it, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're like the full package. Like just stay the course.
I think a lot of these guys, like at least the rising stars in UNF, I really think we have some of the most talented amateurs in the U.S. Honestly, like I mean, London, Hamza now pro, but rising star. Johnny O'Neill was a rising star. Rosario Romero. There's all these guys, right? Carson Dohan,
Winland,
Desmond Alvarado, Pargib Kachacha.
Yeah.
If you look at all these guys, man, like you watch me like, hey, this guy could get to the UFC. This guy could have a great career. I think it's something you said about London. It's like overcoming demons, that inner self bitch you may have, right? And staying the course and staying locked in. But that's why I'm so excited about these rising stars, because I really believe these guys have crazy bright careers. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, just look at the guys that are coming out of UNF.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to see what Ellie does, in the pro heavyweight ranks.
Yeah.
Like the guy's a monster.
We got some exciting news with Ellie, but no, I mean, he's a guy too, right? The heavyweight division, you don't need to go.
So scary.
He's a good-looking dude. He's charismatic. You know what I mean? He's got.
Is he good looking? You think he's good looking?
Listen, Ryan. Unlike you, I could say a dude is good looking. He doesn't mean anything like you. No, Ellie's got it. Like Christopher Lunge is a good looking dude. Ellie's a good looking dude.
Yeah.
You're a part of Gianni's fan club, huh?
Aren't we all?
Yeah. No, Gianni was sitting with us, right? And so a lot of like nuggets came out of his interview. One is like he gets DMs where people want to see foot pics.
Oh wow,
of him.
that's
and he said he's got a big fan base in the gay community. And he's talking about it. It's like, hey, as long as they don't cross the line, I love them and I love my fans.
Yeah,
and we love all the fans.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I
mean,
think
they say we look alike. He's a good looking guy.
No,
I can say that.
Johnny's a stud. Ellie's a stud too. I was just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
I think it kind of goes back to, and again, putting my promoter's hat on, I think the athletes need to be a brand inside the cage and outside. So it doesn't hurt if you're good on social media, you're a good looking person, you're charismatic outside the cage. And then if you got the skills to back it up inside, I think you're looking good. Another guy that I think's got a bright future, Diego.
Oh, Diego, man.
He's a character, bro. What color is that mic cover right there?
Diego, where's the camera? Diego, this microphone is blue, my man. This shit is not purple. It's funny because we do the same thing at the gym. You know, like we were at Super Rare a couple of weeks back. And he's getting gear, and he's got these Muay Thai shorts. I think it's pretty obvious that he's a grappler. You know, been working on his striking. Yeah. He's got these Muay Thai shorts, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fight in these." I don't know what he said. He goes, "I'm gonna fight in these purple shorts." I was like, "Bro, these are blue." He's like, "No fucking way." I'm like, "Bro, these are blue, they're like baby blue shorts, like the color of the wall." And he's like, "I'm gonna fight in these." I was like, "They're not purple, bro."
Bro, I literally, the first time he's fine with us, I thought he was going to maybe pull out or something because I already said the story, but I keep asking, what are your trunk colors? He won't answer me. I'm like, dude, what's going on? It's such a simple question. Like, there's something going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. No, that was a golden nugget.
And then I call him. He's like, "Bro, I'm colorblind." And then the next podcast, he's like, "This is bothering my face."
Yeah.
It's purple.
It's, he's one of those guys. He has the it factor, too. And everybody at the gym recognizes it, too. He's a hard worker. He comes in. He grinds. I think he's got it, man. I think he'll definitely have UNF gold at some point.
Yeah.
And I think he can take it as far as, you know, his heart desires. I think he's a UFC caliber guy. I mean, I know it's only, you know, he's going into his second amateur fight, but he's also a guy that competes every opportunity he gets.
Yeah.
You know, him and, you know, he brought Mark Sanders to the gym, who's fighting against one of my former students, guys that played, you know,
how is that though, right?
It's weird, man. It's awkward.
Yeah.
You know, it's awkward in the sense that, like, I've got love for Kevin and his twin brother Andrew, and obviously David. You guys know, like, we're close. So it's gonna be a little weird cornering against like David and Chad, probably. Yeah. You know, my old coach. But it's the fight game, and again, it's not. I'm not in competition with them. You know, if any, I'm in competition with myself as far as whatever, you know, all that goes. But for the guys at an amateur level, it's good experience for them. You know, I know Kevin's a great fighter. He has great potential as well. And I've seen what Mark can do, and it's going to be a great fight. You know, they're only going to come out better from this fight. And again, it is a little weird. You know, I did give, for example, I give David the courtesy. I say, "Hey, man, you know, this kid Mark's been coming into the gym, asked me to corner him. Just want to give you guys a heads up." And, you know, we were cool about it. Like, obviously it's all respectful, but yeah, I just want to, I think just want to see the guys get their experience and come out, you know, better from it.
That's what it's all about too at the Rising Stars level too.
Especially
so, but Mark is kind of new to your gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's not. I wouldn't say he's not officially a part of Matador, but he has expressed his interest in, like, hey, you know, I want to be a part of this team. And, you know, before I knew he was fighting Kevin, I was like, "Yeah, man, come in. You know, come in and train." You know, he comes in on our team practice days. And then he's like, "Yeah, man, I got to fight for UNF." I was like, "Oh, cool. Who are you fighting?" He goes, "Kevin." And then Diego goes, "One of the twins." And I was like, "Oh, shit." I was like, "All right, Ryan." Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan Buckner. Thanks, Ryan.
The fight was made. I mean, I think I knew he was like homies with Diego, but there was nothing of him training at Matador. He didn't mention Matador to me at the time.
Ryan honestly has the worst job in the company. He really does. If you knew you do know, but like behind the scenes, what he has to deal with trying to keep everybody happy. Yeah. And that's why we love working with coaches like you and some of the other, what I consider like top coaches, the guys that really get it, which is, let's get these guys fair fights, but get them the experience at the Rising Stars level. Because if you really want them to be able to turn pro and be competitive, they've got to get this experience now before the losses really matter.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a fight game. It's only a matter of time before you cross paths. I mean, I'm lucky enough. I don't think I fought anybody that I was like cool with. I think the closest that I came was fighting against Ryan Lilly. Wouldn't say we're like friends, but we knew each other, you know, we crossed paths. We talked a little shit back and forth, you know, a couple of years
Ryan's
before
good at that.
Yes, you know,
so good at that.
So that's as close as I got to it. But, you know, again, you know, here you go. You got two guys that respect each other and known each other for a long time, about to, you know, be the main event, and Chase and Albert.
Yeah, and you know? it's really kind of a crazy thing too. I don't know how you feel, but it drives Ryan crazy. But all the cross training that's going on.
I was gonna say that. I was like, no, now it just, even from when we started UNF to now, it feels like there's so much more cross training going on, which I'm all for fighters going to get working with other guys, but there's guys like, oh, I trained with them 6 months ago. I'm like, all right, like, are we gonna,
Yeah.
are we fighting or not? Because there's only so many names and so many people you could fight at the same time. But a lot of people, everyone's just cross trained nowadays, which I think is great to get the work, get the experience with different bodies and different environments. But it's become a problem, to be fair.
That's what I tell my guys too, because I've had that conversation with Chris. Chris liked going to a lot of gyms, and I'm like, dude, it's gonna be hard for you to get a fight because you're giving your sauce away for free.
Yeah.
Their coach is gonna be like, hey, that guy came in.
Did he give his
he's
sauce
really
away
good.
on Milk Manor? I'm just wanting Milk Manor.
Wait, hold on.
I mean,
hold on.
Do you guys catch that?
I'm just saying.
Wait, what does that mean exactly, though? I want you to elaborate.
Did he show his kickboxing techniques?
Oh, okay.
That's what we were talking about. No,
I think we saw him do a little shadow boxing.
okay.
If I was on a show with a bunch of MILFs, I would definitely keep telling them I'm a fighter over and over again, to be fair.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I counted that like 10 times in the first episode. I was like,
No, it
we
makes
get
sense.
it, Chris. You're a fighter.
Oh, really? Did he
he made it a point to let you guys know he's an MMA fighter.
Oh,
I forgot what we were talking.
we're talking about cross training and these guys going all over.
No, like I told Chris, I said, you keep going to these gyms and you're sparring these guys, it's gonna be hard for you to get a fight because they're gonna say one, don't fight him, he's good, or I know how to beat him.
Yep.
So same conversation I had with my guys now. I'm like, look, I have no problem with cross training. We have gyms that we have a relationship with KD MMA, obviously, because of like Winland. We've gone over and like Ray Sean comes and trains with us and he's over at KD. We have a good relationship with them. I mean, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think it's cool having
soon.
a sister gym, right?
Yeah. We help each other out. But I tell these guys, like, man, like, have your jiu-jitsu gym, have your MMA gym, have your boxing gym or your Muay Thai gym. I get it. That's cool. But if you're jumping from MMA gym to MMA gym, you're gonna make friends with everyone. I mean,
it's a friends. But you bring up a good point too, though. I mean, it's also knowledge for these coaches either. Not take fights with you because they've seen you train. Like, oh, this guy kicked your ass in training. We're not fighting this guy. Or they picked up on your tails. They know how you fight. They just have a better understanding of maybe how to beat you too at the same time.
I mean, back then, I think like when I was coming up, it was a little bit. There weren't as many gyms.
Yeah.
So you didn't really have the problem too much. I mean, George will tell you otherwise because George will be like, Marcos, is there anyone you're not friends with in LA that I can like match you up with? And I'm like, dude.
Well, you're just that dude. You know a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I think, I can get that.
But yeah, I mean, the cross training is not an issue for me. It's just like you got to limit it. You gotta hold your cards close to your chest, and you can't always be giving everything away for free. So yeah.
So we're talking about gym owner life, retired fighter life, but let's take it back a little bit because you obviously got to this point somehow.
Yeah.
I guess let's just start. Tell us a little bit about like your childhood. Kind of how you came up, all that, and then we'll get into some other stuff.
Well, my childhood, I am born and raised in LA. I think like first half of my life, my first 15 years, I was in South Central. Moved to Van Nuys with my mom to start high school. So, I consider Van Nuys my hometown. It's kind of what molded me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, grew up. My parents are. Oh, sorry. My parents are Salvadorian immigrants. I think it's no secret. I'm very proud of my heritage and
As you should
and my
be.
background. My mom took me to El Salvador. Actually, I think I was like a month old, and she might have just been fed up with my dad's shit. And she was like, "We're leaving. So,
Let's go."
So I lived in El Salvador. I think the first year of my life, and then came back out here and just normal life in LA. Grew up skateboarding and getting in trouble and music and all that stuff.
I personally have a special love for the Salvadoran people. I've been down there multiple times doing a bunch of work, and all the folks are such hardworking, honest people.
Yeah.
And I really super excited to see what the president has done and really cleaned up the streets. Because I remember when I first started going down there, we'd have to have armed escorts. The fucking military would pick us up, take us everywhere because MS-13 and 18th, you pretty much ran the country.
Damn, bro, you were moving like the president, huh?
No. There was just too much at stake. They just didn't want me dying in the street because of the liability. But it was really cool because when you get to meet those people, the average person down there at the time was making about $8 a day, and they were just so thankful, just such a hardworking group of people. I just fell in love with the people.
Yeah, no, I mean it's great. I make it a point to try and go every year. My son's only 4; he's already been twice. So, Yeah, I mean, like April, May is usually the time that I like to go. It's amazing. It's changed. I mean, I grew up going to El Salvador all my life, and it's a big difference. I mean, I remember going like right after high school when I first started getting tattoos, and they're like, dude,
Yep.
you can't go out. Like, you have to cover up. Like, I would wear
Yep.
long sleeves in that humid ass weather
Yep.
because of my tattoos. And now I remember before my UNF1 camp, I was out running around, no shirt on, and you know, the cops are just like, hey, how you doing? Like, there was no pressing. There was no sense of that I was ever in danger.
Yep.
I feel more in danger in downtown LA than I do in El Salvador.
Well, I think it's, if you look in, they just released stats. I mean, it's more dangerous in the U.S. than it is in El Salvador. I mean, I think back in the day, El Salvador was one of the most dangerous countries in the world, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Murder rate and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing because the guy I go down there with, one of the guys, Hector, that I work with, is all tatted up. He's got brown pride on his calves and everything. And when we're down there, they're like, make sure you're wearing long pants and, you know, long sleeve shirts and shit like that. And he actually ended up going down there a few months ago doing some cases and shit. And he said it was just beautiful. It was amazing. And the streets were completely clean.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, anybody that'll listen, I'll tell them, you know, why go to Hawaii and take a shorter flight? I mean, same amount of time, but your money's going to go a lot further in El Salvador. The president's doing great things. I mean, people have mixed feelings about him, but
who has mixed feelings about him though?
I mean, I think
is it just the haters, or is it just because
I
he's
think just like in this country,
suspended some civil rights, right? Like
it's like in any country. Like here, you know, you don't have everyone that aligns with our current president, and then there's people that didn't align with the previous president.
Yep.
It's just everywhere. You kind of get it a little bit, but I mean, I think he's doing a lot of good. I mean, at the end of the day, politicians are politicians, and they all have their agendas.
I love the guy though,
but you've seen the positive work that he's doing. I mean, he's just what they have a zero tolerance law now. You have one beer, you can't get behind the wheel. Like, you will get arrested.
That's a good. I like that.
I think it's like, hey, you know, it's going to save lives. Like, why not? It's not a bad thing.
I think the way that country, you know, was headed. I mean, the people were not happy. The people were oppressed by the gangs and the criminal organized crime. Yeah. He had to take aggressive measures to get it cleaned up. And so, to me, you now look at the results, and the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of his, and I think first country going to all Bitcoin too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I believe they have, what's it called? Like when you have like your reserve, it's kind of like how we have the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
The country's money, a lot of it is invested in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the national money. I
Forward
guess.
thinking. Something that Ryan needs to learn to do.
Yeah, it's not something I do very often. But when
you
I
guys
do,
can be the naive of MMA in the local scene. Just kind of clean up everything.
Look, we are trying. I mean, all the local other promoters actually hate us. I mean, I think the reason is because, you know, and I've heard word to the ground because we're making them spend more money and elevate their game to try to compete with what we're doing.
It's not just that. I think it's also guys recognize the time and obviously the money you guys are putting into each one of these guys. I mean, this in itself, you're not getting this over at Joe Schmo Promotions, you know? Yeah. I think it's really just, it's not only just the like production value that you guys bring to the table, but also you guys actually care about these guys. Like I feel like you guys have a relationship with most guys. Like there's some sort of, it's not just like, hey, you're going to fight for us. And what's your name again? It's every time you see them, it's like, man, they're getting swag bags. Everyone's, you know, on a first name basis. Like you feel like family. I mean, I say it all the time. I come to UNF, you guys have taken my family in as if it was your own. And it just, I'm not only a fan of it or a former fighter for UNF. It's like, I truly believe in what you guys are doing.
Well, we're trying. I think we've listened to you. We've listened to other people, right? Like what was wrong with the fight game and how can we do right by the fighters? And one thing like our family's all about, which I know you're a big family man too, is like, you got to show people that you care, you know, that they matter. And I think one of the other problems in this industry is a lot of these guys just feel like numbers to other promotions. You know, they don't feel valued. You know what I mean? And I think part of my problem, I care a little too much sometimes. And I get personally vested in these guys. So when they lose or whatever, I actually feel bad. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. I mean, I think that's when we first started Up Next. I mean, we've never been in the MMA industry as far as business-wise. I mean, we've been, we've knew people and whatnot, but we talk to a lot of coaches and we just want to know, hey, what's missing or what do these fighters need? And then the family we are is like, we're gonna make these people because they deserve it, but feel appreciated and know it's a mutually beneficial working relationship. I feel like a lot of promoters are just like, oh, you're on my platform, and it's a good thing promoters are giving a platform to these fighters, but we can't do this without the fighters. We can't do this without the fans. Fighters can't do it without us or the fans, and the fans can't come have these shows unless the promoters.
And I'm sorry we say this every time, but when these guys are fighting at UNF, they just fight on a different level too. Like, it's so weird. Like they want to win at all costs.
Well, I mean, it's a taste of it's a taste of the big show, really. If you look at it, I mean, again, I go back to the production of it. You walk out, I mean, for anybody that has fought for UNF, they'll tell you hit that walkout, you're like, oh shit,
the lights
are on, the crowd's roaring. It gives you a taste of what your future can be. And I think not only for myself, but a lot of guys, a lot of these veterans, we didn't really have that. Like, I mean, I'll tell you, I fought inside a restaurant once, like a ballroom.
We're gonna have to get into that in a second, but
I fought, like it wasn't a big show like that. It was just like you almost kind of fought, like you felt like you were fighting in a chicken coop. It was like, all right, you show up, there's no water in the back, there's no, they're you give someone your ticket and they're marking it off marking your hand with a marker. It's like super like next level now. Like now, like these amateurs are getting a taste of what it could really be. It's a whole nother level. But it's just evolution of the game.
Yeah. Totally agree.
The fight game has definitely evolved. Well, I want to get back to your story. So, when was like that first moment, I guess, like where you realized MMA, maybe you started training it? How did that come about?
Man,
not even that you knew you wanted to compete yet, but just that first interaction with MMA.
With combat sports, my first sport that I was a fan of was boxing. I grew up in that like the heyday of like Sugar Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya. Like I love boxing.
Yeah.
So for me, like getting into MMA, I mean, I can tell you that I never had any intentions of like, okay, I'm going to train or anything. I ended up watching a BJ Penn fight. I saw him beat up Sean Shirk and I was like, yo, this is fucking awesome. So I just kind of got hooked. I started watching it. And then, I was in my early 20s. I wasn't doing anything. Like I really was just like work, party. There was nothing motivating me to try and do something bigger with my life. And that wasn't normal for me because growing up, I wanted to become a professional skateboarder. I was skating every day for hours.
Were you any good?
I think I still got a few moves. I was okay. I got a couple sponsors by like from shops and just like smaller brands, but not at the level that it's at today. And even that, like with high school, like I was a big fan of, I'm a big fan of like music and I played in bands and it's like, I was like, I want to fucking tour. I want to play the Warped Tour every year. So I always had aspirations of doing something great. And early 20s came along and you just kind of get sucked into that kind of early 20s life. And I was like, damn, I'm not doing shit. And my buddy from high school was like, hey man, like my friend just opened up a jiu-jitsu school. You want to come check it out? And that's what got the ball rolling. And I kind of got good at it and competed a couple times. And I don't know, one day they're like, hey man, do you want to fight? And I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? And it's funny because I always told people, like I was always a big fan of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Nacho Berenstein. He was Juan Manuel Marquez and Rafael Marquez's boxing coach. Great mind of the sport. Just kind of like a Greg Jackson, right? And I was like, man, it'd be pretty cool to be a coach someday. Like just be the mind behind the fighter, right? And that was my intention. I was like, oh, I'll just do an amateur fight just so I have the experience and maybe someday I'll be a great coach. Not saying that I'm a great coach, but I'm working towards it. But that's kind of what sparked that fire. It was like, okay, I never told anyone, hey, I want to be in the UFC. I want to be world champion. And I tell my guys, had I said it, maybe my career would have taken a different route.
Yeah.
Because all my friends that said that I'm going to be in the UFC, guess what? They made it to the UFC. Guys like Albert, guys like Christos Giagos, like these guys always said it from day one. I want to be in the UFC. The only thing I ever said is I want to be a great coach someday. So hopefully I'm on that path. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had 8 amateur fights. You had a regional promotional title.
Yeah.
And then you had, I think, 14
professional fights. Yeah.
What was your toughest pro fight?
Man, that's a good question. My toughest pro fight, I'll tell you, was for I fought for George back in the was it, I believe I want to say it was CXF maybe.
Who did you fight?
I fought AJ Bryant.
I think it was CXF.
Okay, I think it was CXF. I fought AJ Bryant. You know, that fight was tough for me. That was my toughest fight to date because I'd never been beat up until that fight. That was a fight where I got sick during fight week.
Ooh.
I had a really bad flu, and you know, George will tell you, he's like, hey man, like, you know, I'm not taking it personally if you need to pull out. And I was like, no, dude, like, we're here already. Like, I put in the fucking work. Like, I'm fighting.
I'm showing up that day, yeah.
And I was really sick. Like, I was in the back warming up, and it's funny because that's the day that like I met like my MMA idol. I met BJ Penn. He was cornering Gulo that night.
Really?
And I was like, I gotta go out there and fucking BJ Penn's here. I gotta put on a show.
Yeah.
So I remember hitting pads and I start coughing up a lung like crazy. And I'm like, man, I'm getting like kind of lightheaded. And my coach looks at me. He's like, hey man, are you sure? And I was like, fuck it, let's go out there. I was like, I got 1 round in me. I got 1 round. He's like, well, then knock him out. I was like, I'm gonna try. Yeah, went out there and, you know, hell of a first. I feel like I took the first round. Second round was close. Frank Trigg took a point away from me for I don't know what. He said I was grabbing the cage, which wasn't, but you know, it's all love now.
Yeah, it's all
And then AJ beat the shit out of me the third round. I could not move. Like my body literally shut down on me. Like in the corner, I have a picture where my head's down and I'm trying to catch my breath and I can't. But that hands down was the toughest fight. I remember before the fight was stopped, I had a big cut back of my head from an elbow, and it was just blood everywhere. It just looked fucking like the scene from Carrie. And I look over, and my dad and my younger brother are sitting cage time. My little brother's crying, and I'm just getting the shit beat out of me. And I'm like, I'm okay as I'm getting punched in the face.
I'm having a great time, guys.
That was the toughest fight. I mean, that was, you know, he ended up getting the TKO win. There was like 30 seconds left in the clock, and I remember just being so pissed because I was like, dude, 30 seconds. You could have let it go.
Yeah.
He already kicked my ass for 4 minutes and, you know, 30 seconds. You could have let it go another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely my toughest fight.
Yeah, AJ's a tough dude.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because we ended up training together at CMMA, you know, towards the end of my career. Like he would come in and I want to say I was at CMMA before him because I would go and I would train there. But it wasn't as consistent as it was like the last 3 to 4 years of my career. So we kind of ended up becoming teammates, and you know we would get like good training sessions together. But yeah, he's one tough dude, and yeah, I can honestly say he's the one guy that beat the shit out of me that third round.
Listen, everyone has their day. I mean, listen, that's the thing about MMA, right? Like, I mean, one day you're the hammer, one day you're the nail. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few tough fights, but that was definitely the one. You know, that was.
Well, I think especially with your brother sitting there, you know.
Oh man, it was.
Yeah, probably that look over for you right there. That's a worse feeling than getting hit in the face for sure.
No, and you know the biggest thing about that fight was that I remember going out in the third round, and I thought to myself, I was like, I'm gonna fucking die in here. I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I was walking out, couldn't lift my arms, and I just thought to myself, well, I am literally gonna be carried out on my shield.
Yeah.
I was. In that, as crazy as it sounds, in that moment, I accepted it. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to die in here.
Was there any thought of quitting in you?
Never.
Of throwing in that towel and not walking out?
Never. That's one thing that I did get a lot of love from that. Like, man, you've got heart. Like that's, you know, and that's great and all. I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't get the win, and that's what I wanted. You know, that's the fight that kind of threw, you know, I was headed in a really good path and a good trajectory, and it kind of threw things off a little bit. But learning experience, you know, I never fought sick again. I'd never do that shit again. And I tell my guys, dude, you're sick as I was, I'm pulling you from a fight. There's no way.
I actually think that it sucks from a promotional perspective, but I think it's the right thing.
Yeah.
Like we've had some fighters, you know, their opponents have come like 8 pounds overweight, and these guys still took the fight, and you know.
And it goes back to, you know, me trying to help these guys, this next generation, not make the same mistakes that I have. You know, I've, you know, when I was with Combate, I fought a guy who missed weight. I think it was like 4 pounds. And, I mean, he's in the UFC now. I'm not going to say his name because, again, it's all love. But, you know, I said, okay, cool. I'll accept the fight. 4 pounds. And I remember telling him, like, 4 pounds aren't going to save you. Like, I got you. And, you know, just not having that proper guidance. I come into the fight the next day and the guy outweighs me by 17 pounds. Yeah. So it's stuff like that. Like I accept it. That was my journey. That was my path. But it wasn't for nothing, because what I learned from that, I get to pass on to my guys to make sure they don't make the same mistakes, you know? So.
No, definitely. I mean, and you said it, right? Like what your passion, what your driving force was in your mind was to be a great head coach one day. Yeah. And, you know, all these lessons, all this experience is what you get to pass on to these guys. I think you're doing a great job as a coach now, too, honestly.
Thank you.
I think we talked a little bit about Diego. Let's talk a little bit about Jonathan Wineland, though. What can fans expect from Jonathan when he gets in there for guys who haven't watched him before?
So, yeah, Diego and Jonathan. When, you know, Johnny's like a brother to me. We actually, believe it or not, we actually did make an attempt at college. That's how I met Johnny. So I've known him forever.
Wow.
So Johnny and I, really good friends. You know, he's a hard worker. He's that guy that I think he surprises people every time. You wouldn't know it, but the guy's undefeated. He's 3-0 in kickboxing and he's 2-0 in MMA.
Yeah.
You know, he's an animal. And
why do you say you wouldn't know it though? Or like why?
Because he's a little bit older and he's so chill. Yeah. Like he's just like, you know, he's about his money and he loves training. And, you know, I mean, you see him, he walks in here, he's rocking the Rolex.
Sunglasses on. Yeah. Like we interviewed him and he's just like, chill.
He's always telling me after his fights, like, let's go to the nightclub. I'm like, I got to work the rest of the night, but maybe a different time.
No, he's the guy, man. He's like, all right, we're going to, like, the other night he tells me, he's like, hey man, it's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, what's up, bro? Are you going to do anything? He's like, relax, it's only 10. I'm like, bro, I'm in bed by 11. What are you talking about? He's like, we're going to go to this club. And I'm like, no, bro, you go. I'm good. No, but you know, he's got that knockout power. He's resilient. I mean,
he does have that knockout power. That viral knockout of Khalil was just insane.
Yeah, that was honestly like
that got over 1 million views.
Yeah, it was crazy. You know, did he tell the story how he got recognized in Vegas?
No, he didn't tell me.
Someone, I guess he was walking into, and I'm sure, you know, in Johnny fashion, he was walking into a club. And he says, some guy's like, hey, man. And he starts doing like the MMA. Like he starts like kind of like shadow boxing in front. And Johnny's like, who the fuck is this guy? And he pulls his phone and he goes, is that you?
Oh, no shit.
He's like, yeah, that's me.
Wow.
Yeah, it went super viral. I mean, if he's getting recognized, you know, out of state, that's pretty
so
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what was your favorite fight ever? Fight you enjoyed the most?
There's a few, I think, that were just fun. I think the most fun I've ever had in a fight was against either, I want to say, Isaac Fernandez or Rudy Morales. My first 2 fights with Combate. With Rudy Morales, he was a tough dude. You know, he's also like a Central American guy. So it's like the battle of Guatemala versus El Salvador type thing. We got into it at weigh-ins.
There is a little competition there between these two
countries. We shoved each other. We were like talking shit, and we went out there, and I think like we both left it out there. I feel like that was my first fight where I was able to showcase my skill set and kind of put myself on the map a little bit, where I had people like, man, like, wow, like today we see who the fuck Marcos is. That was the funnest. That was fun. Just because the competition, obviously I won, but it wasn't just the win. It was winning against a very tough guy that kind of was up against the wall, and he was coming to like knock my head off, you know? So Rudy Morales definitely takes that honor.
Yeah, my favorite fight is when I knocked this guy out one time.
It's never happened.
No, I'm kidding. That's totally never happened. I would never do that to you. You're getting too old now, man.
Your son's going to treat you that way too, man.
No, your son won't do that to you. He's
your son's better than Ryan.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I'll kick his ass.
You got some time. Morrison's got some time. You know
yeah.
So, you know, you've been around, you know, lots of folks. You've trained at, you know, different gyms, but who was the coach that you feel had the most impact on you?
That's a good question. I had all great coaches.
See, that's why I asked it and he didn't.
Yeah.
Good questions come from me, bro. And you could, if there's multiples, and then maybe you kind of spit out like why that coach made particular impact on you.
You know, I've experienced great coaches, I've experienced good coaches, and then that maybe kind of didn't become great coaches, you know. But I'm grateful for every single one of them. You know, I learned a lot. Definitely. I mean, I would say, you know, I would have to shout out my first Muay Thai coach, my first, you know, official Muay Thai coach, Daniel Gutierrez, because he was kind of like who pushed me to fight.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, oh yeah, man, like you're good, let's do it. So he was in my corner, you know, all my amateur career and like a couple of my pro fights. He had a big impact in that sense. You know, Thor will tell you otherwise. He never was officially my coach.
Thor created you, and Thor taught you everything you know.
Coach, he apparently taught me my first arm bar, which is false. But I never really considered him too much of a coach. He was more of like a brother and you know, a training partner. He always like looked out for me. So he had a big impact on me. Yeah, I mean, I just had a lot of good coaches. You know, obviously I learned a lot from working with guys at CMMA, you know, Victor Henry and Chad George and those guys. I learned a lot from my boxing coach, John Pullman. You know, he worked with world champions. Yeah. That was, again, a friendship. Took it upon himself to just help me out with like my boxing and stuff. Crew Rod. I mean, I can go on and on. I've had some great strength and conditioning coaches like, you know, Martin Rose and Taylor Ramsdale, like a lot of guys that I've worked with.
Taylor's doing well for himself, right? He moved back east, right? Missouri or some shit, or
I think he's like in Uzbekistan or something.
Well, he's there all the time.
He's there. He trains
Beevil. Yeah, Beevil.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Ramsdale. I think, you know, Taylor had a big impact on a lot of the local guys. Yeah, we all trained with him at one point. You know, you'd go into a strength conditioning session and you had 10 guys.
Kill you guys.
Yeah, oh my God, that was honestly probably the best fighting shape that I've ever been in. You know, I was training with Taylor. So yeah, I mean, they all had their impact on me. So it's hard to just, you know, point one out.
You don't have a favorite.
I love them all.
That's a very good politically correct answer. Also,
you know, I
you don't want to make anybody feel left out.
You know, even now in like retirement, I'll go and I'll hit pads with Crew Rod. You know, I still work with him. We still, you know, he's you know, he's kind of taking a little bit of like a mentorship role. You know, he's a little bit older than me. So, yeah, you know, I still, I appreciate every single one of them.
What's up?
You don't have a question?
No, I do have a question. Do you want me to?
Okay, yeah. No, that's why I looked at you, bro. I asked one, you asked one. That's kind of how it's supposed to go.
Oh, but why are you giving me the eye contact like that? It's kind of weird.
I love it, man.
Yeah. Anyways, man. Well, I kind of want to take you back to the gym and the atmosphere because I think it's great to hear from a coach. Kind of, you know, talking about how great of a community you have. What do you kind of do to ensure that community stays like that, right? Like, do you not allow any knuckleheads in there? Is there do's and don'ts?
It's got to be a challenge.
No, I'm sure. That's what I want to ask. Like, have you had any crazy scenarios when it comes to that? Because
he's had crazy scenarios, Ryan. He's had to put out some fires. I'm telling you, there are stories. I just don't know if he's going to tell us.
I can't.
I'm trying to like give him some.
Yeah, there's you know, one thing they don't tell you when you want to open up a gym or become a coach is that you become almost a dad to all these guys. And it's just like, fuck, how did I inherit 10 grown ass kids? Like, what the fuck? No, I've had to put out some fires. But that's a big thing. You know, from day one, I always told everyone that was a part of our room, you know, check your ego at the door. There's no fucking egos here. If you come in like a bull in a china shop, like you're out. I will not allow anyone to fuck with the vibe of the gym, you know, mess with the aura that we're building here. So that's a big thing. I mean, I've had people, certain fighters that are still out there, and you know, I won't say names that have wanted to come through to Matador, and I've just had to shoot it down because I know what your MO is. Yeah. And I can't, it's not fair to my guys and the people that have been with me from day one to bring in someone that's just gonna fuck everything up. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's always fires to be put out.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
can't you tell us at least one story though, without saying names?
No. Oh, without saying names.
Without saying names. I mean, Ryan's got a story.
I don't think I can without kind of
Wait,
giving
I
it
have
away.
a story.
No, you do have a story.
Wait,
Just
enlighten me. What?
about a fighter that wanted to fight a fighter.
Oh, but if I told you the story, that means you know it. So that means you could say, why are you putting me
go
under
ahead.
the bus?
Go ahead. There
No,
you go.
you tell the story. No, it's actually a good story if you ask me.
I think I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think it's all public, right? Like, it's
Yeah, I mean, it's already been
right?
talked about, I think. I just think it's kind of funny, and I just feel for you because I can imagine the drama,
Yeah.
that you have to deal with.
I mean, I think the one that I guess I can share, again, I won't say any names, but there was, there, and again, I hope I'm not betraying any, anyone here or any confidentiality or anything like that. No names or anything, but I mean, we had a situation where there's a couple people on the fight team and it kind of was a little bit of a love triangle, and it started some drama, and one person left, and then it became a whole shit show. But I think that's all I could say. I've had to deal with
but then the one that left wants to fight the other guy. And
I've had to deal with a love triangle. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. Oh, bro, listen, I'm sorry, but I'm normally not a shit talker, Marcos.
Yeah.
I'm really not. But in this promotion game, I kind of like the buildup and the hype to hype up the fights a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy because he's still not even like that, right? But he understands what having a podcast
He's had to
means.
teach me. Yeah.
What having a podcast
Right.
means now, and having a promotion. And we're not people that are going to just go chat shit to talk shit. But if things happen, sometimes you got to talk about them so people kind of people know about them.
Up, right? Because
Yeah.
our job is to put asses in those seats and build the biggest platform for
Honestly, though,
these
being a
athletes.
matchmaker, you kind of get the inside scoop from both sides of
Yeah.
stories. And like Marco said, I'm never going to cross that line either, right? But
How funny is it? There's always two very different versions of the story.
everything in life, right? I mean,
Yeah. And then I love these guys that publicly say, oh, yeah, I'll fight that guy. But then, you try to offer them the fight. They won't, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's so funny.
There's very few guys that are really about it. And like, again, I go back to my time coming up. I feel like I like to think that I was that guy that was, I'll fight anybody anytime. I fought guys that I shouldn't have fought, that I wasn't ready for.
No, you really did.
But again, it was my journey, and I really felt like that was, maybe it wasn't the smartest on the business side of fighting, but I wear my losses like a badge of honor, because half these guys were either title challengers, considered the best featherweight in the world at one point, top 15 UFC fighters. So for me, that's again, wasn't like the best business decision, but I come from an era where you kind of fought, you had to fight whoever it was. Now guys are a little too picky, choosy.
Well, MMA's evolved in that sense of like, not that it's as bad as boxing, but boxing, the structure's always been, if you're one of the key guys that want to push you, you go to like 20-0 and then you fight for a title, whatever it is. But MMA, I mean, when it first started, everyone was just fighting whoever.
Yeah, the best.
It didn't matter, jiu-jitsu guy versus this guy. Nowadays, people are trying to be more, a little more strategic with building their records.
And I get it. It makes sense,
I don't get it at the amateur. Well, don't fight someone who's 10 times better than you and you know it. But like at the amateur level, at least rising stars, I think that's where you should get the experience. Because what you bring
Test
up,
yourself. Yeah.
Now you're a coach. Your fighting career is most likely done unless you want to make one more run. Just let me know. Gotcha.
I think we should try that.
That's what I was thinking.
I think we should try that. I mean,
I told you guys the stars will have to align.
break out the checkbook, Ryan. That's all I'm telling you.
Now
You
we're
better.
talking.
I could write
Now
the
we're
check.
talking.
It's not coming out of my bank account, but I could write it.
Now we're talking.
But that would be pretty cool, though. You know what I mean?
Look, I'll tell you guys, I'll say this much, and I can say this. It would have to be, if it were to happen, and that's a big if, it would have to be before July, before my birthday, because then medicals get crazy. So I'd have to do it before 40.
We have May 31st.
Before
We
40.
got
Oh,
March
shit. Look,
8th,
see, I love
May
it. He's already-
31st. Yeah.
We'll talk. We'll
Yeah.
see. Let me check with the family.
No, listen.
Ask your wife first.
Actually, like the scumbag promoter in me wants that, but the family man who loves you, like, no, bro.
No, I
Like,
know.
You have such a beautiful wife, and
Thank you.
your son's super handsome.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah, your son is really cute.
Thank
bro,
you,
he
man.
is
Thank
really good.
you.
You're bringing
you
that.
call- you
He's gonna be a soccer star, isn't he?
You know,
yeah.
you know how you call
100%.
everyone's kids cute because you kind of have to be. Your kid's actually
Thank
cute.
you,
Like
man.
he's so
Thank you.
cute when he's running
Thank
around
you.
and doing
Yeah.
this thing.
I give credit to his mom for that. You know, he got her looks.
I think he looks like you, though.
Really? Nah,
No,
well,
I think
I'll
he
take
looks.
it.
I mean, you guys are a great looking family, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, he has a little bit. I'll say that. That's fine.
I'll take it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. If I do decide to do it, it would just have to be like the perfect scenario.
Gotta make it
before
fun.
40. I have the itch, like
Yeah.
I do feel it sometimes, and like I miss it, and I would love that one, last thrill of competition. The one thing that kind of, again, like I told you guys earlier, it kind of drives me back to is waking up, and I wake up sore
Yeah.
and tired. I'm like, damn, can I really do this for 10 weeks? Like every day, like I'll go and I'll have one hard training session once a week maybe, and I'm sore for the next 2 days. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
The stars need to align. That's
Yeah.
for
The
sure.
stars
Are you
need
gonna
to
have any
align,
more
man.
kids? Or you just
Um,
thoughts on that? I don't mean to get too personal.
no,
but,
no. I mean, I would have. I think had I started at an earlier age,
Yeah.
definitely. I think every. I mean, you have your boys and you have your girl. I think every man at some point wants to be a girl dad. I just think like that love between
Mhm.
a daughter and a father is so special. Just like, like my son's a little bit of a mama's boy.
For sure.
We have a great relationship. Like my son and I are tight. Like we call it, like, he'll tell me, he's like, hey dad. And I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, you're my best friend. We truly feel that way, but he's a little bit of a mama's boy. And I feel like if I would have had a girl or more kids, then I would have felt that a little bit more too.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it, but the idea of starting over again is very.
Yeah.
And
What
as you're getting older, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it took us 2 years to get sleep.
No,
We didn't
sure.
sleep for like 2 years. Morrison finally started falling asleep. He turned 2, and it was like, okay, he's sleeping now. He's not crying. Like it was tough, man.
He's like, yeah, it's time to let my parents sleep a little bit. It's
sleep.
2 years.
And plus, I already have like I said, I
Yeah.
have like 10 adult kids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So what are some of the plans coming up for you personally, Matador? I know that you're always thinking. So what's next?
yeah, I mean, I want to just continue to embed myself into this fight game. Not only as a coach and as a gym owner, but on the business side. I mean, we've obviously had conversations, and bringing on beautiful brands like
That's it.
Protege.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely. I want, there's so much to learn in this game, like the business side. Eventually, like you said, like the commentating. I think the possibilities are endless, and I think that's what's next. Just staying in this game, and hopefully we can help on the management side. We can help a few guys get to the big show. Would love to be back as a corner and as a coach to the big show. So yeah, I mean, we stay the course and just
How
keep
is it
getting these guys
cornering
back.
at like the big show, bro? Is it just a whole nother level?
Yeah, it's a whole experience. It's a whole different experience. I've been very fortunate to corner a few guys in the UFC, and it's a really fun experience. The ones that weren't so fun were like the COVID era fights because you were stuck in the bubble. But yeah, it's fun. It's a trip. You're out with your boys and you're doing what you love. You wake up, you train, go to sleep. The guy wants to cut some weight, you go cut weight with him.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's honestly, I think it's some of the best time that I've had in my life.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to go to Stockholm with Christos, and that was just like a trip I'll never forget. It was just amazing. Going to Peru with Ghost Pepper, fighting three fights in one night. Like that was amazing. Yeah, those big show trips are something that I think everyone should experience.
Yeah, the UFC is just on a whole nother level,
Yeah.
bro. We just went to the show here in LA.
Oh yeah,
Wow, what a show that was.
Yeah, the energy. I mean, it's just.
yeah,
I think on the regional level, we're killing people,
Yeah.
to be honest. I think we're in this weird middle ground between, you got your big shows, the PFL, the UFCs. I really think that we're in this weird middle ground between the regional shows and the big shows.
Yeah.
Because from a production standpoint, quality of the fights, I don't think regionally anybody touches us.
yeah. No, I agree. And if anyone that's out there that hasn't been to a UNF show, I mean, start now. Like these cards are insane.
Just
It's
wait. You
crazy.
don't even know the whole card yet, Marcos. Just
I
wait.
know. I'm
Just wait,
I'm
brother.
excited.
It's
I'm
sick.
excited to be there as a fan. Like,
Well, you'll be
like,
sitting cage side no matter what. I got you.
I appreciate it.
Listen, I
appreciate
run
it.
the
Hold
cage
him-
door, bro.
Yeah.
You
no,
can
I
sit there and work the
appreciate
cage
it. I
door with
appreciate
me,
it.
bro.
I appreciate it. As long as I don't piss you off. You're the
Yeah,
worst
he's-
thing ever trying to
dude,
piss him off, dude.
He's in his zone at the event, so right,
Oh,
you
dude.
cannot.
I just get sort of
Yeah.
fucking intense.
It's like-
when
I
I
just
it's-
see when he looks my way. I see the eyes like something's going down. I'm like, oh,
It's
fuck.
like the last time he got pissed off at me. It was like my dad. I was like, dude, I was so like texting him, I was like, Chris, I'm so sorry.
Dude,
Like,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be
No,
like
no.
that. Sometimes I just fucking get wound up in
No,
myself.
I get it. I get it. I
So,
get it. I mean, in all fairness, you thought that we were gonna fight, and that wasn't like
Yeah.
the situation, you know. But yeah, it's always a fun
I've
time.
had to learn it's the fight game. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, and it's funny that this fool over here, 27 years old, has to
Finally taught him something. That's
listen.
great
No,
news.
Yeah.
listen. I give you credit for this. He's like, Dad, relax. It's a fight game. It's this.
Yeah.
It's that. I remember at weigh-ins, one fighter came up and slapped another fighter. I'm like, oh, that guy will
Oh, I
never
remember
fight
that.
for us again. And
Yeah.
you know, and I just completely overreacted, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he had to be like, dude, just relax. Like,
I remember that. He
listen.
wasn't even fighting the
No.
guy. He had
No, but
fought
he
him,
was
so he
talking
stopped
shit
it.
about him a little
Yeah.
bit. But I mean, listen, you want to have respect. You want the biggest fight in the UFC history. What happened? How did they sell the most pay-per-views? And not that I'm looking for it and whatnot, but someone threw a dolly at a bus, right? And like, there's these things that happen in the fight game. These guys are about to fight each other, right? Like, and you want to keep it where they're not slapping each other or pushing each other, but
Yeah.
you just have to know these things are going to happen in the
I
fight game.
get it. I'm growing. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Oh, you're growing up. Good
Yeah,
job.
I'm
but you know
growing.
what? Also, I think that for the most part, a better part of these fighters have such respect for you guys that it really doesn't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything get out of hand. I haven't
Yeah.
seen any like wrestling matches or anything at weigh-ins. I mean,
No.
there was that one incident with, you know, I won't say names, but the smacking of,
Yeah.
of someone you're not even fighting.
No,
But
yeah.
I mean, it happens.
I don't love it, and like, but you know, it's just one of those things. It's like he's like, he'll never fight you again.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just talk
Listen,
tomorrow,
bro,
man.
I come
Let's
from
just-
a law and order background. Like
Yeah.
my normal world is, you know, you respect each other and there's consequences to actions. But what I've had to learn in this business, it's just different.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of what's acceptable and what's not.
I think between fighters, a little bit of the banter and like the shit talking, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
like you said, like it sells the fights, gets people excited. It's all good. At the end of the day, you're gonna shake hands, you're gonna respect each other for making that walk. The one thing that does bother me is when coaches start talking shit to the other fighters. It's
Yep.
kind of just like, dude, step back.
yeah, it's a fighter's
Like,
fight.
like, chill.
I mean,
like,
the coaches
like,
have a lot to do in it, but right now the fighters are
it's not
squaring off.
about
They're
you.
about to fight each other. I get it's a team thing, right? And fighters need great coaches and a great support system, but when it comes down to the fighters bickering and shoving each other, leave that to the fighters.
Like
in a
I'll
sense.
never tell another fighter. Like for example, like I try to keep it respectful. I tell my guys if you got something to say it. But you know, at the end of the day, you got to be respectful. You know, carry yourself like a professional. But I'll never look at another guy, another fighter, someone that I'm not fighting, if I'm coaching a guy, and tell him like you're gonna get fucked up. Like that to me, like that bothers me.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Because you gotta carry yourself a certain way as a coach or as a representative of your gym. You know.
Well, look, the way you handled the whole Carson Dohan chirping at London after that decision, like on social media, you were a class act because you really, as Chris's coach, you could have been chirping differently and saying and handling it very differently. You were very diplomatic and very, you know, respectful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way
I mean,
you handled it.
Carson and I had a conversation after, you know, we literally talked on the phone. We had like a good 20-minute conversation. And it's, you know, he's young, he's learning, and you know, he's obviously he feels the way that he feels about that fight. But I think that in having that conversation with him too, like from someone that's a little bit older and has been in this game, it's just like, hey man, you're gonna be okay. Like don't
but
let this weigh on you.
There's something
you know?
over in the pugilist water that you know,
Those
Thor
things are
is
nuts,
serving those
bro.
guys.
Those
That
guys are nuts.
on social
Although
media, they go a
I
little
feel like
nutty.
guys in Matador are a little crazy too, to be honest.
Have you seen who their coach is?
That's like Thor.
Have you seen who their coach is? Man, if we had enough time, I'll tell you some
Oh,
stories. Me and my
man.
big brother Thor, man, growing
Fucking
up.
Thor is just it's so funny because he's so like different in so many ways, but he has such a good heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what he does for the at-risk youth and everything. I'm just such a fan of. But he's
Big heart,
he's definitely on a different
And he's always
level.
been that way.
Yeah.
Thor has always been that guy. He's had a big heart. Has always put others before himself. Always looked out for the little guy. You know, that's why I have so much respect for him. And I think about it too. Like even when we were training with him, and he was kind of like our coach. He was the same way. Now I'm a little bit older and I see it and I'm just like, come on. They're like, somehow mess. I'm like,
I love how
Thor,
Mark-
why are you talking shit to my guy, bro?
I love you're like kind of our coach, kind of
Yeah.
just kind of coach.
I won't give him that. I won't. I can't. I can't
You know what?
give
But
him.
Thor like does it in a jokingly way. Like he's talking shit, but
Yeah,
not really.
yeah.
Like he pretend like he acts like he's like a 20-year-old on Instagram the way he talks. And
No,
He's funny.
it's all love. Like he has a big heart. I learned so much from him. I'm forever grateful.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a funny guy. He's always been the same way. And like now I see he's how he is with these guys, and it's cool. Like he's genuine. He's literally been that way the whole time I've known him.
Yeah.
You know, so you're gonna get a bit of the craziness. You know,
But
the
that's-
accordion and all that shit. You know.
But one thing I like though, that is him.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's not putting on this you know, what you get is raw thoughts, how he feels, how he thinks.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really like. I like genuine people. I hate people that shouldn't say hate. I'm not a big fan of people that, put on an act or try to portray themselves as something that they're really not.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I kind of I always laugh at some of these promotions like, oh, we're fighters first and we're this, we're that. I'm like, bro, you claim to own a clothing company and you don't even give your athletes a fucking t-shirt. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, a lot of horror stories in the MMA scene.
Dude,
you know?
it's definitely it's not a sport for the weak at heart.
Oh,
that's
no.
for sure.
No, it's not. And that's why I have so much respect for whether even the coaches, right? I mean, a lot of these guys have fight teams and they put so much into their athletes, and the fighters don't really understand. Unless you make it to the UFC, you are not profitable or making money in really any way.
No, you're costing your coach.
Exactly.
If you really think
that's what I'm saying. So, but
right?
a fighter to pursue career in fighting really make it. It's a very tough sport, even for coaches, right? Unless you really got the
yeah, I mean,
memberships
and
down.
it's even like it's guys that some of these amateurs think like I'm gonna go pro and I'm gonna take care of my family when I go pro. It's like, no, you're not, dude. No, you're not. It takes a lot, a lot of years for you to get to that point where you're financially making enough where you can take care of those around you or even fucking pay your bills.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, man, the majority of my time I lost money during my camps.
Yeah.
Because I had to take time off from work. I had to pay for medicals and, sponsors and ticket sales and your purse. And I mean, especially if you didn't win.
Well, you were a marketable guy.
You
You had a good fan base. You sold tickets. You had it kind of going on in that regard. These other guys, it's really, really tough. I mean, I look at it when we came into this, it's just like when we really looked at what fighters made, it's just like, wow, they don't make a lot.
You have to hustle.
And we're actually paying on the higher scale on the regional scene too. Yeah. And to me, it's still crazy.
A part of it too, I tell all these guys, like, you have to hustle. You're a business. Like you have an interview, like conduct yourself like a professional. You have to sell yourself. You have to want to make brands say, hey, I want that guy to wear my shirt.
That's right.
And ticket sales is a big part of them. Like, you guys want to get fights? You guys want them to invite you? You got to sell tickets.
Push those pay-per-views, push those tickets. Yeah.
People are like, oh, how do I get sponsors? I'm like, do you have a barber you go to? Ask him to sponsor you. They'll sponsor you. If people fuck with you, they will support you.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you, like, the majority of my sponsors for the better part of my career were people that I knew, people that I considered friends.
Yeah.
Because if they care about you, they're going to support you if they can.
Yeah.
Whether it be the local real estate agent, the local coffee shop, my barber, always sponsored me for fights. And it's just that. It's just hustling. You're not going to break the bank with your showing win money.
Yeah.
You got to sell tickets. You got to gather up that money from the sponsors. So that there's a lesson in that for these guys,
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're kind of teaching them the ropes because you're preparing them for success, right? If they really want it, they put the work in, they're going to be much more successful.
And we need them selling more than 10 tickets most of the time.
Oh, man. Yeah. We had that conversation. I'm just, we had that with one of our guys. I was like, Ryan, I had no idea that he requested X amount of tickets. Next time, let me know and make sure that he fucking sells tickets.
Yeah. It sucks, you know what I mean? But it's a piece of the game to make this whole thing work. Because I mean, I think also too, like, guys have to understand though, we put on a big show and we do all this. We're not making.
There's so much money that goes.
into listen, we're not making. I'll be honest. Right now, we're not making money. Right, we're building a brand, and we're okay with not making money right now. But we're building a brand because, we want to be here, and we want to take these fighters with us. Want to take you with us, others, and build something special.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, like, I'll say it to anybody that's willing to listen. Like, I believe in what you guys are doing here with UNF. And, I'm the type of person that if I don't believe in a product, I'm not gonna speak up for it. I'm not gonna, like, you can, not to say that anybody has, but like, if you give me a hat and I don't like it, and I'm
not gonna wear that shit.
I'm not gonna wear it. I'm not gonna be like, oh man, this is so cool. Like, hey, this is really my style, or I don't like what you stand for. Yeah. Like, I genuinely fuck with UNF. Like, I believe it with what, and what you guys are doing. And I believe in the monster that it's becoming. And I'm just excited to be a part of it, even in the smallest form of it. It's cool to be a part of it.
You've been a big part of it because without you, fighting with us, being a big supporter, funneling your athletes to our promotion, we know that we need to continue to earn this relationship. Yeah, you know what I mean? I think that's what's That's what's super important.
Yeah, one hand washes the other, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
Unless your hammy doesn't wash his hands.
Oh, here we go. All right, what else? What should everybody else know about you that we haven't talked about? Anything else about the gym? How can people contact you?
I mean, you just find us on socials, you know, Matador_training on Instagram. You can Google Matador Training. We're kind of in the heart of
If
North
they Google
Hollywood.
you, will they find anything funny out there?
You probably just find some
No
really
foot
ugly,
pics or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Just probably some like bad action pictures where like I'm getting punched in the face. But yeah, you know, we're in the heart of North Hollywood. You know, so just come down, get some work. You know, we're a cool place. Like we've set a really cool vibe. And yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Just continue to try to win fights and keep collecting those belts.
Let's go.
Well, we really appreciate you, Marcos.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for everything you've done for
No,
UNF,
thank you guys.
and we definitely look forward to
And
continuing
don't
this.
forget to use your shit.
Man, I am so happy that you guys had an extra one laying around because I was just about to text them like, hey, man, I need some more Protege.
Listen, all the athletes were using it on
Yeah.
content and they're like, oh, this is really good stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It literally twice a day.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's once a day Protege, but you know, you got to.
And Gabe's such a fucking cool guy.
Man,
you know what I mean?
So excited for him too. This is like, you know, I said, I would never put my name or push a brand that I didn't believe in.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I was like, oh my God, like it goes hand in hand.
It fits
you know?
perfect with the MMA community,
yeah.
combat sports.
Yeah. And you know, and Gabe loved it too. I didn't take him for much of like a fight fan, but I think that last UNF card made him a fan.
Yeah, we're doing a bunch of stuff with him on social, stuff like that.
I hope he gives us passes to
I
sold out
can
Warped Tour.
use some more product, Gabe.
Yeah,
Check me
right.
out.
Right, you hear that, Gabe? We need some passes to Warped Tour, dude.
Gabe, hook us up. All right, Marcos. Thanks,
man. Appreciate you guys.
All right.